We are live, and this is the Health, Love, and Life show. I'm Coach Arnie, and tonight we're going to have a little fun. And oh yeah, look at that! This is the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, radio, TV, and podcast, #1 internet singles talk network. Yes, and I posted on. Oh, you know what? Hang on. I posted on my Facebook the link, so hopefully some of you. Oh, I'm trying to log on here on Instagram, so hang on a second, everybody. I got to talking with Cece and checking connection. You are live on Instagram. Look at that, we're live, and I've changed the position here in my camera, so I'm going to try to hit everybody a little bit better, hopefully. So we're live on Instagram, and we're live right here, and we're going to get into some probably craziness today. Listen, the 3 topics that I chose to talk about in my health, love, and life that I talk about the most, I guess, would be health, love, and relationships. And those 2 topics, along with life in general, are 2 of the most powerful topics on the planet, and the third one being wealth. Well, we're not going to talk about wealth, but guess what? If you don't have your health, it doesn't really matter. Hopefully you have some wealth, because then you're going to need it to give you some options on what you're going to do with your health. But we're going to get into some more controversy tonight. I'm going to steer the pot a little bit. That's just what I do. I love to challenge the status quo. And because when we're talking about nutrition, everybody has an opinion. I'm giving you mine, and that's all it is. It's an opinion. You can do what you want with it, but I'm going to give you 40 years of experience as a coach, as a teacher, as a so-called expert. You know, I have a master's degree in exercise science and wellness, so I know a little bit about this. But even forget all that. I had a client the other day goes, "Coach, I'm not even using my degree, or for the first time I'm using my." I go, you know what? The degree is like a hoop. It's like a couple of hoops you got to jump through. I learned 99% of the stuff that I use today after I got my degree. After. So, and most of it is through trial and error. First on me, and then on anybody else that may want to be guinea pigs for me. And I was lucky that I had access to facilities that let me kind of set up my own little lab, and I had lab rats coming in, human beings, and we just did stuff, and I learned a lot, and especially with nutrition. And I've done about every single diet you can imagine, and I've talked about it on this show already, talked about it on my other Facebook lives and Instagrams and stuff, but you can never talk about it too much, because you know, I'm not going to sit here and talk about new things every week. I'm going to talk about the same things until people get it. And people don't get nutrition. I'm sorry. Look around outside, everybody. If we got nutrition, we wouldn't have to have this conversation right now. And we just don't. It's a very hard topic. I was just listening to a YouTube video of a friend of mine, and he goes, everybody loves food. And, you know, not really. You know, foodies do. I mean, we all have to eat, but I fast. I do fasting. I do what's called OMED right now, 1 meal a day. But I'll be honest with you, I've done 5-day fast, 2-day fast. I did a whole year where I did 48-hour fast, 48-hour eat, 48-hour eat, 48-hour eat. And once you get into the rhythm, I was fine. But most people thought I was nuts. And then I ended the year with a 5-day fast. So, and I felt fine. I actually felt really good. And I want to do that again. But I don't expect everybody to do that. That's crazy thoughts. I expect people to figure out what works for them. And that's what I want to help you do. So if I can give you some ideas, you know, we have access to the most amazing information on the planet. It's called Google. It's called YouTube. So if you want to figure anything out and then figure stuff out, try it, go get tested at your doctor's office, get a blood test. If you're feeling better, Who gives a you know what other people think? They're not you. Quit worrying about what other people think. They're not going to help you. They're going to help themselves. I promise you. That's what they want to do. They may want to think they're helping you, but they're helping themselves. Especially if they're trying to sell you something. You need to figure out what works for you. And if a shake or a vitamin pill or a motion potion, this or that, works for you, great. Doesn't mean it's going to work for somebody else. You need to figure out you first, and then you can help someone else figure themselves out. Or just tell them, figure it out. Do some homework. Find out what your blood type is. Maybe do some DNA testing. Do some, even some of these things where you find out where your ancestors come from. That tells you a lot too, believe it or not. There's a lot to this. It's not just a straight line. It zigzags. And then you have to figure out what works for you. And as you get old like me, things change. I mean, things that worked for me 30, 40 years ago do not work for me today. They don't. That means exercise, nutrition, all that stuff. So you just need to figure stuff out. So tonight I'm going to give you some information, and I may drive some of you crazy, and that's fine. Call me, 602-390-9144. You can look me up on Instagram. You can DM me. DM me with anything you got. Hey, Vibrant, how you doing there? And but if you have questions for me, you can DM me on Instagram. You can message me on Twitter at Real Coach Arnie. You can go over to TikTok at Real Coach Arnie and check me out over there on TikTok. Get over there. Let's have some fun on TikTok. I'm going to start talking about nutrition pretty soon on TikTok because young people are really struggling right now. My wife did a presentation today at a school event, huge school event. And the stories they came back with on depression, anxiety, suicide, off the charts. Guys, are you kidding me? Don't give me this nonsense that food does not play a role in nutrition. And guess what? It's not because we're missing medication in our lives. That's the pharmaceutical trying to sell us a bunch of crap. You know what? It's other things. And I got news for you. A big part of this thing is nutrition, whether you like it or not. And I don't care if you're a foodie or not. I really don't care. I love you, but you're going to have to figure this thing out. I used to talk to people all the time and feel bad for them. Say, oh, Arnie, I've got to have this. I've got to have that. I don't feel bad for you anymore. It's like if you're a smoker, it's bad for you. So go ahead, smoke, but, bad for you. If you want to have that bag of donuts because you have to have it because you feel bad, that's fine, but it's bad for you. If you want to eat all that, all that sugar and processed foods and all that stuff, that's fine. It's bad for you. So that's your choice. Just don't complain. I did a presentation at a school last week. And after I explained everything to everybody, I said, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. All these things that happened up to today are not your fault. And they're not. And for those that are new tonight that are coming on here and listening to this crazy person talk, and this is the first time you've heard this stuff, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Whatever you're going through as far as mental health is going through. Listen, I'm giving you a big hug right now. Big internet hug, big Instagram hug here. It's not your fault. But after you hear this stuff and do a little Googling, it's 100% your fault. Because you're going to find the answers. You may not like the answers, and you need to go get some more answers, maybe see a physician or a psychiatrist or somebody, and get some help. Call me up. Let's talk. But regardless, it's 100% your fault now. Get some help. Period. No more excuses. That's the problem today. Everybody has an excuse. And we got to stop that stuff. It's not helping. It's making things worse. And if your parents or if you're a parent that's allowing your youngsters to get away with this nonsense, instead of helping them get some help or helping them fix things, especially after you hear what you're going to hear tonight, I'm sorry. But I don't feel sorry for you, because it's on you. So the role of nutrition in mental health. It's bigger than we think. Actually, I was reading an article, and it said diet is as important to mental health as it is to physical health. For years and years and years, probably as long as I can remember as an athlete, since the 70s, everybody's been concerned about nutrition for performance, for running, weight loss, sports, different things, sports drinks, all this nonsense that's out there. But you know what? It's just, and this came out of an article, an MD, oh God, the doctor's online, MD something. Oh gosh, either way. But yeah, diet is as important with mental health as with physical health. I'm sorry. It is. It really, really is. And we just have to accept it. You can challenge it, but after the challenge, accept it. You got to accept the results. Or if you want to keep challenging, it's fine. But if you're not feeling good, gosh, and you just fall into taking a pill or something, that's on you. You, nobody else. Okay? So I'm going to mention 4 doctors tonight. And I've listened to podcasts, quite a few on all of them. Some I've read books on. And they're all MDs. They're all in psychiatry. So they're not psychologists. They're not coaches. They're not anything but psychiatrists. And they're MD psychiatrists. Dr. Chris Palmer, he's out of Harvard. Dr. Paul Saladino just moved down to San Diego. He's a functional medicine specialist as well. Dr. Daniel Amen in the LA area has done more brain SPECT imaging than anybody on the planet. That's where they can actually see the shape of your brain and how it's affected by exercise, nutrition, chemicals. And Dr. Georgia Eads, who is a huge, who's the energy behind the carnivore movement in this country. And she doesn't eat red meat. She eats mostly fish, chicken, turkey. So there, even though Dr. Paul Saladino eats a lot of red meat. But the research that I have been looking at, that a lot of it was shared by these individuals, shows the importance of eliminating processed foods and excess sugar from our diet. And if you're not aware, guys, a macro or nutrients like carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, those are what our foods are made up of. In the very simple, we're not going to get crazy tonight about this stuff at all. But there's only one of those you can live without. And it's not fat and protein. Which is why people that try to eliminate protein don't feel good. That's why people that try to eliminate fat don't feel good. But if you try to eliminate carbohydrates, you may not feel good for just a little bit of time, but then you're going to feel okay. So there's only one of them you can live without, and that's carbohydrates. I'm not saying you have to, but you could. A lot of people have. A lot of people are today. Millions of people are. And they're okay. They're fine. They're functioning at a very high level. Some are very high level athletes, world-class athletes. And some are just average Joes, just getting up and going to work in the morning. But at the other end of it, there's people that eat a lot of carbohydrates and doing just fine too. And I don't know a lot of them, but if they're functioning at a high level and they're happy, what do I care? I don't care. Because to me, it's about you functioning at a high level, living the life that you want to live, living an epic, adventurous life. And if you can do that eating vegetables, gosh, more power to you. If you can do that eating ribeye, more power to you. I'm not going to judge you. It's the last thing I'm going to do. I'm going to learn from you. So these 4 individuals are psychiatrists. They study that. And they have been slowly over the last few, some is Dr. Chris Palmer basically got heavy into this about 3 years ago. Paul Saladino a couple years ago. Dr. Georgia Eads many years ago. And Daniel Amen many years ago. But they figured out that we need to eliminate certain foods out of our diet, like processed foods. You know, if you're eating stuff on the label that has, foods that on their label have, all these different ingredients that you don't even know how to pronounce them, it's probably not a good food. It's been processed quite a bit. And you'd be surprised what would happen if you eliminated that stuff and just ate one ingredient foods like eggs, chicken, roast, sardines. How's that? Spinach. See, if we're eating one ingredient foods, that's not a processed food. I promise you, anybody that's listening right now, anybody, hey Coach, hey Jay, anybody listening right now, I'm not sure what diet you're on, but if you're on the standard American diet, if you either went on a pure, there's so many different diets now. If you went on a pure vegan diet, figure it out, vegan, you'd feel better in a couple weeks. You really would. Now, I don't know how long, but you may not be feeling good a long time after that. Maybe, maybe not. Depending on how your body accepts it. Or you could go on a carnivore diet. Just eat nothing but steak and chicken and fish and eggs. And you could feel fantastic as well. I don't know for how long, but we'd have to see. All right? Because we're all different. We're all different. We all respond to different foods, depending on our DNA, depending on our blood type, our ancestors, where they grew up. Makes a lot of difference. It really does. Our age, things like that. And so you have to be able to measure how you feel when you eat certain things. And this I know. Back in the 1920s, they started studying this thing called keto. And what they did was they figured out was that it affected epilepsy. And it stopped seizures from happening in the brain. And then it kind of got brushed aside for a while. But it worked. It worked. Why would we stop something that worked? Well, maybe because a drug company said we can make a lot more money selling people a pill. Worked. So that was kind of the first step in this process of mental health. And fast forward to the 2019. A few years ago, a young lady who's the daughter of a very famous gentleman named Jordan Peterson, her name is Michaela. She had been suffering as a young mom from depression and all kind of mental issues, and tried everything from vegan, raw vegan, paleo, whatever, until she ran across this thing called carnivore, which is all meat. And she said, I got to try something. It's not working. So she went carnivore. And now, even to this day, I think it's been 3 or 4 years now, she only eats red meat and water. But she's 100% better. So she put a price tag on feeling 100% better so she can be a better mom, better husband, better wife, better person, feel good. Her price tag is I'm going to eat meat and drink water because it controls my brain. The ultimate elimination diet. Red meat is the least allergic food there is. Do your homework. I did. So I was curious about that. And then I started reading about people like Chris Palmer and Paul Saladino, Daniel Amen, and Georgia E. Something. What's behind all this? How is this so? And the problem is sugar, guys, and these chemicals in foods are so powerful, which scares me to death when it comes to this new fake meat they're selling in Burger King and some of these places. There's so much processing going on with those things. And if you're one of these ones that's enjoying that because it tastes good and you think you're doing something for the environment, you might be. But this environment here is being corrupted. And you're not going to like how it ends. You're not going to be happy about it. I promise you, you're not. You can't live on that kind of food. You can on the short term. But on the long term, it's going to have detrimental effects on you. It will. Those chemicals are going to affect you, whether it's the vegetable oil. I mean, vegetable oils are one of the worst things that we can put in our body. And we've been doing this now for 50, going on 60 years now. But look at all the problems over the last 50 years in our society with all these vegetable oils. It's an epidemic of stuff going on out there, from mental illness to obesity to diabetes. It's just a mess. And it all started when we weren't allowed to have any more fat. Except that's one of the nutrients you need in your diet. And believe me, I know what it feels like. I've gone on a no-fat diet. Did it. I remember when I did it many, many, many years ago. My doctor called me up on the phone. And we didn't have cell phones back then. He said, "What are you doing?" I go, "I don't know. What am I doing?" And he just noticed that it had a dramatic effect on my cholesterol. I go, good. Sure, it went down. Oh no, it went up. What? Yeah, it went up. Yeah, I had eliminated almost all my fat. I was eating like skinless chicken breasts, dry as could be, because I could eat anything if I knew it was good for me. Salads with no dressing, just a little vinegar, a little pepper, liver, with some vegetables, egg whites. Ugh. I mean, all these things. No fat. And my cholesterol went up. What? How does that happen? Well, because your body doesn't know what's going on, and it says, wait a minute, there's no fat here. We need some fat. So it cranks it up. Cranks up the cholesterol to make up the difference. Yep. I mean, your body, you've got to treat your body like you're supposed to. And that's why it's so important to find the foods that work for you and quit worrying about what other people think. All right? And I'm telling you right now, first of all, you're never going to hear me say anything about getting off medication, but I do want you to know this. That if some of you are out there and you want to, if you want to look up Dr. Chris Palmer, he's at Harvard and he's doing extensive research right now on ketogenics and carnivore low carb eating. And he's showing amazing anecdotal evidence of people with severe schizophrenia, mental illness, getting better. Heck, if anybody wants to text me at 602-390-9144, I will send you a copy of that podcast, or look him up yourself. Dr. Chris Palmer. This is real stuff, guys. This is not a joke. To me, mental illness is super important because I'm a brain health expert. I've done brain rehab for almost 30 years. And most of the stuff I've done was on brain injuries, traumatic brain injuries, stroke. Okay. and dementia, Alzheimer's. So I understand the brain, and I've seen amazing things happen myself when people eat better and are getting the right stimulation. That's it. Oops, hang on a second. There you go. So glad you guys are there. So yeah, I've seen amazing things happen. So to me, as a scientist and coach and mentor, why would I ever lean into sending people to get medication on the first sign of not feeling good? Now, they may eventually need medication. That's fine. I'm not against it. I'm just saying, if you can control these things with nutrition, why not? Without all the side effects. Gosh, are you kidding me? Why do you want to walk around numb? Why do you want to walk around feeling like a zombie? You know, there's nothing better than feeling good, especially here where you have mental clarity, energy. Just feel good. You know, you just feel good. It's kind of like you're in not the zone, but you're in flow. You know, time goes by. You know, you don't need anything. You're in flow. You're just feeling good. You're just loving it, loving life. That's how we all want to feel. And when you numb that, whether it be alcohol or drugs or bad behavior, but when you're numbing that, it really makes a difference. It takes away your creativity. It does. So you got to be careful. If you're already there, if you're already on that stuff, what I would do is just continue to eat better, clean your diet up, talk to your doctor, find out ways that you could possibly move off of some of that stuff. But you've got to be, if you're not doing all the steps that I'm sharing tonight, then stay on it. Don't you dare get off that stuff. But it's so important to understand the fact that physiologically, nutrition, food affects your brain. It does. I don't care who you are. When you eat foods that aren't healthy, I know we don't feel good. You don't. You feel uncomfortable. You feel cloudy up here. Things just don't work right. Your digestion's not right. You're out of rhythm. This is important stuff, guys. So that's why nutrition is so powerful in our lives. And you've got to be serious about it. I mean, so you have Chris Palmer, who's an MD psychiatrist, and he's been studying this now for years. And I mean, he just flat out tells you, I mean, the stuff that's going on with kids right now is off the charts. But look around. Look around at their diet. You know, processed foods, junk foods. You know, they have so much access to food today. You know, they can head on down to school and stop off at 7-Eleven or Circle K and grab themselves some donuts or something else unhealthy. You know, on the way home, they could stop at lunch, they can eat, you know, go grab their pizza. And then on the way home, they could stop again and grab, you know, a $7 cup of coffee with all kind of sugar and other kind of crap in there. And then come home and have hopefully a good dinner. But, you know, when you have, do you realize we're pushing 50% fatherless homes? So they're coming home, mom's stressed out. She doesn't have time to cook. So they're making meals that are processed foods. And we wonder why we have an epidemic, and I mean epidemic, of depression, anxiety, and suicide on our hands right now. You wonder? And it's food related. And Dr. Palmer's done studies where they've kind of pieced it out, and where people are saying, well, maybe they're just measuring everything. And so there's more people that fall into this category. No, he broke it all down. No, it's not. These are real new people. This is not good. This is harming our society. But look around. Look what I just shared with you as far as, you know, people's eating plans. They're doing this stuff, guys. We can laugh about it all day long. Say, oh, ha ha, funny, funny. Look at the way you eat. But the way they eat is affecting their brain. And that's what I want you to be aware of. What you eat affects your brain. That's where a guy like Daniel Amen kicks in here. And you can go over there and get your brain tested. I mean, he's working with the NFL on concussion cases where he can go in and measure your brain with a called brain spect imaging, take pictures, see what it looks like. If you have nice, healthy folds in the brain, and he can look at it and then go, wow, look at that area there. We got some problems with. And then he knows what area that brain affects, whether it's speech, physical, cognition, whatever it might be. And then he can put you on he can clean up your diet, put you on some exercise, and 90 days, 6 months later, he can remeasure and go, oh, look at that. We're showing some progress. But in the meantime, you probably already knew it. You knew you were feeling better. It's that easy. So we know this stuff. We're just not doing it. It's too easy to stop at Circle K. It's too easy, and I'm not blaming you. Remember I said earlier, nope, no blame here. But as of today, as of you hearing this, it is your fault. So if you're choosing to buy crappy food at the fast food place, on you. If you're choosing to buy the snack foods at the store, it's on you. There's other things there you can eat. Grab an apple. Even though that's sugar too, but it's a whole lot better than donuts. Okay? It's a whole lot better than donuts. But since we've been eating all this crappy food, it's really taken a toll on our society from a mental health standpoint. It does. I mean, kids at school don't have energy and this and that. And then when they go at lunch and have all this bad food, all of a sudden their energy spiked. And then it crashes again. Kids trying to play sports and don't have good nutrition behind them, and they're struggling as well. I mean, there's so many things going on here that are affecting our mental health. Your own family might be in this boat. If you hear this, if you're a busy mom and you're stopping and grabbing McDonald's on the way home or Burger King and you're having to work on a project at work and want to go to the gym, and your kid's going to have to eat probably something that's processed unless you prepare it ahead. Over time, it makes a big difference, and I don't want to compare generations, but hey, let's compare generations. I didn't have that as a kid. There wasn't, the packaged foods were just coming along. So we got to eat, whatever mom made or dad made. Whether it's fresh soup, my dad, I remember he used to make a big pot of chicken soup, big pot. He was a chef. I'm talking like a 3-foot pot, big old pot. And he'd put in there all kind of things. I'm exaggerating, but it was big, much bigger than a standard pot. But he would put everything in the whole chicken, all the bones and everything, and vegetables and potatoes and you name it. And that thing would cook all day long. And we'd have that fresh soup for days. Now they sell it as called bone broth. And they sell it for $5 a carton. And I got to grow up on stuff like that. It helped. I'm not saying I didn't have my snacks and all that. We did, but we had one. I remember we used to have a box of Hostess Ding Dong, my favorite. And then we had this little tiny cupboard where we kept all of our snack foods and crackers and all that stuff. Now we have closets for that. Am I right? Closets. Back then we had a little tiny kid. And my mom would say, okay, one. Yeah, one. And that might have been maybe during the week, and maybe you got another one maybe on Friday, and then maybe on the weekend you got one more. So that box would last. There's 3 of us. think there's 12 in there. So that box would last, a good week or so. But today, everybody has their own box. How's that? And so, just multiply the sugar consumption by 10 today. We just didn't have it. And we had fresher food. Now compare that to my grandmother. She had nothing but fresh food. They didn't even have refrigerators back then. But it makes a difference. The nutrition you have affects your blood chemistry, which affects your brain. And it makes a difference, guys. It really does. And it's making a difference in our society right now. And that's why we have an epidemic of anxiety, sadness, depression, and suicide. This is mental illness. It's mental health. And we have two simple ways that we can really, really make an impact on it. And like I said, guys like Daniel Amen have flat out showed it with brain spect imaging. If you eat better, eliminate processed foods, get more fat in your diet, get better sources of protein in your diet, fish, chicken, steaks, red meat. And then add in some simple exercise, walking, riding a bike, rhythmic stuff. You know what I do with my brain clients, brain injury? We play games with balloons and balls where you're getting into this rhythmic hand movement, just like ping pong, tennis, anything that's rhythmic. Hand-eye coordinate. It's so good for your brain. And we do that kind of stuff. Working on the brain, simple exercises, along with simple, better choices of food. And you can go and have your brain measured and remeasured, and you're going to show improvements. Fact. Absolute fact. So why aren't we doing more about it? Because there's a lot of money behind the other side. There's a lot of money behind telling you to eat all this whole grains and all these other things. And that's fine if it works for you. I was listening to a doctor today. I didn't put him on my list. Because I just listened to the show today, but he's in Canada, and as part of his regime is he was talking about keto and some other things, but he was kind of making fun of it, the name. But he was explaining the same thing. But he said, if you want to eat these things, like legumes and things like that, which I just choose not to eat anymore. He goes, just eat a little bit. Because he comes from the school of thought that you have to have it. Remember? You have to have it. I'm from the school of thought that says, no, you don't. If it's not good for you, if it makes you sick, why are you eating it? That's the way I look at it. It may be a good food. There may not be anything wrong with it. But if I eat it, and I don't feel good, why do I want to eat it? Can't I find something else that makes me feel just as good or better without an upset gut, or constipation or diarrhea or mental fogginess? You ever thought of that? But some people have to have it, and that's why he explained it the way he did. And I'm okay with that. But just know it's just hard. Most people don't know their limitations. And so most people are going to go over the line. And then hopefully you learn from it. Hopefully. If you don't, then it's on you. Remember, after tonight, it's 100% on you. 100%. Once you know, you know. So you have people like Daniel Amen that can measure these things through brain spect imaging. So we know that when you eat better foods and do simple exercise, the brain gets better because we've taken pictures of it. Have there been any double-blind, crazy experiments done on this yet? Maybe, but I haven't seen a lot of that. I've just seen lots of anecdotal evidence out there. Because to me, just putting somebody on something for a couple of weeks or 6 weeks, it's not the answer. The answer is, what are they doing over 6 years? You know, and how do you feel after the first month? How do you feel up this the 6th month? If you're feeling better, isn't that the right track? That's my thing with any of these diets, whether it's even vegans. Fine, if you want to be a vegan, I don't care. But if you're not feeling good after 6 months, what's your point? Is it a religion? That's fine. I'm not against that. Just I don't want you sharing your religion with me, because to me it's food. It's not a religion. So, but these are all things you have to look at, and you can't be dogmatic about it. If you're dogmatic about it, it could hurt you. It could hurt you. You have to find what works for you. You have to become your own expert. This is really important stuff. And it's probably driving a lot of you guys crazy, because I'm not going to give you an answer. I'm not going to give you an answer on what's the best foods. I know what works for me. I've done every diet you can imagine. I've done high fat, low fat. I've done no fat. I've done high protein, low protein. I've done vegetarian. I've done vegan. I've done raw vegan. I've done paleo. I've done Atkins. And now I've done carnivore, hyper carnivore, keto. The one I really don't like the most, and not because of the food, the keto. I don't like to count things. I do not like counting calories or all that stuff. It just doesn't work for me. I'll eat, and then I'll adjust it as I go and see how I feel. And that's what I'm doing right now currently with carnivore. I'm just seeing how I feel, and I'm adjusting it, and which is why they call it hyper carnivore, because I just pour in vegetables or whatever, sweet potatoes, whatever, whenever I want it or think I might need it. Like if I have a big training day, like tomorrow's a big training day, so I had a sweet potato. Saturday's a big training day, so I'll throw in some vegetables and maybe some white rice. And there's a story behind white rice, but it's not as bad as people think, especially if you're not eating a lot. But nutrition is powerful, guys. Powerful. So if you're one of these folks that are out there really struggling right now with your mental health, your anxiety, your depression, your sadness, even loneliness, why not? Why not give it a shot? Why not give something a shot? Make a change. I'm going to give you what I think where you should start. I think everybody should start out eliminating processed foods. Try to eat as few processed foods as you can in the next week. Send me a message. Processed foods are going to kill you. Your grandparents did not eat processed foods. Try to eliminate that, and then try to eliminate as much extra sugar as you can. And that means fruits and vegetables, guys. Overdone. It's going to be hard to overdo vegetables, but you can overdo fruit. And all that extra sugar's got to go somewhere. It breaks down into simple sugars. It breaks down. So let's see where you're at. Let's see if you can make some progress with your brain by eliminating some of these foods that aren't good for you. I think the guy's name was Perlmutter. I should know this, but I think he wrote Grain Brain. I mean, there's a lot of good information out there if you want to get better and smarter about it. If you don't worry about it. But don't complain anymore. No complaining, no blaming. It's on you now. It's everybody that's listening. 100% now on you. And I'm here to answer questions for you. You can shoot me a message. You can DM me on Instagram or Twitter, and I'll get back to you. You can call me, 602-390-9144. I'd love to chat with you. But, guys, this is a big topic. There's my email, arniefonseca@gmail.com. This is important because your brain is super important, and we're really screwing this thing up right now. We are screwing this up. So, guys, I didn't get into any of my extras tonight because I just wanted to pour as much of my heart into this as I could. I love you guys. I want you to get better. I want you to really focus on your nutrition this week. I want you to really focus on the foods that work for you. Journal it. Figure it out. If you need my help, I'm here. If not, you figure it out. And don't stop until you're feeling better. Hey, this is Coach Arnie with the Health, Love, and Life Show on the Going Solo Network with CC Schatz. And I'm out of here, guys. And you guys have a great rest of your week. And I'll look forward to hearing from or seeing you or talking to you next week. Instagram, thanks, guys, for being out there. Appreciate you guys. Please share this thing if you can. And I love you. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.